Okay, um, here we are. Namaste. Okay, this will not be our last video, so hopefully it goes well. Okay, hopefully you can hear me. All right, so this is going to be a fill-in class that I'm going to link to you, that I'm going to upload into YouTube, and I'm going to make a series of them. So if I'm not available, you'll still get something anyway. And if there's a meditation, I'll upload it separately. Okay, so today we're talking about spirit animals and what they are. So basically, they take any form, so they can be animals, birds, insects, they can be mythological creatures as well. There's no limit to what a spirit animal would be. To work out what they do, generally, from what I've seen, it's mainly if, like, say, for instance, elephants are about family, about children, then it'll work around the same sort of thing, depending what you need at the time. Okay. So there can be wild animals, domestic animals. Some of my favorites are the birds. I love ravens and crows, for instance, are some of my favorites. And I really like mythological creatures, which we're going to go into a bit later anyway. I've also selected cards, so we have cards as well. I've pre-shuffled and selected them, so you're not sitting there watching me do that. Okay, the best way to work out who your animal spirits are is actually just to close your eyes and just sit there and just tune in and see who's around you. And you may get a feeling or a sensation. It depends on how you work. But there's no right or wrong, and just trust. As I always say, just trust what you get. They sometimes you'll have them around you and you don't know. It's basically because you don't need to know. They're just doing the job that they need to do, and that's it. But generally, you'll get that they can be anything. So you can get wolves, giraffes, beavers, otters. There's no limit really at all to who they are, and depending, sometimes if you say you lean a bit more to magic, they might be a bit more magical creatures probably. But there's no right or wrong path of who they are. And at some point, if you want to do a connecting meditation, we can do that. That's no hustle. But I thought I'd mention it because it sort of came up, and I thought it's an easy video to do. When I channel them for people, generally I get a lot of owls. Owls are about wisdom, about strength. They're also a predator, so it could also be that you needing to really focus and get your claws into something. You need to really focus and be very focused on what you're doing. So that could be a reason you get that. Some animals are protective. Wolves can be protective. So they'll stand around you and guard you as well. Who else? So that is really the short of that. It's not very long, not a very long section or session for that. I actually wanted to focus on what most people call mythological or mystical creatures. Whether you believe they exist or not, it's neither here nor there. A lot of them come up as mythological, but some people will swear and declare that they have existed and they've existed around them, which is what I think personally. But things are written off into history as mythological, mystical, folk tales, and so on. So the first one, we're going from sort of well known to something a bit out of the left out of the box, I suppose, because it's something that I really like. So we'll go there. Okay. So the first one is unicorns. So I was going to have statues, but you know, we all know what a unicorn looks like. I don't go for unicorns with wings because I don't think they have wings. However, if you think unicorn has wings, that's perfectly fine. It's neither here nor there. Um, so unicorns are about all that's good in the world. They they bring in a lot of loyalty, purity, gentleness, and love. And grace would be another one. So they're very kind, they're very nurturing, they're supportive, but they're also protective. And a lot of people use them for healing. You know, they say light emanates from their horn and it helps with healing. Um, I don't work with them. It's not particularly my cup of tea. I do have a little statue, but it's not something I particularly work with at all. It's not my realm, as we know. I like realms. Um, However, as a guide, they really help you to embrace your gifts. So your psychic gifts, your healing gifts. Um, they're interesting to connect with because they've got a very, out of probably the ones I've picked one, two, three, four, five so far. Out of the five that I have, they probably have the softest energy. Actually, they definitely have the softest energy. So you can use selenite would be a good crystal to connect with them. You could use, what else could you use? Probably the angelic crystals would be good to connect with them. So like angelite or celestite would probably be another good one because they have that sort of nice fine vibration, even though they're often seen more as an earth-based creature, I guess. Um, you could also use maybe some of the agates. I'm just trying to get a feel for something, but I'm not particularly getting anything. But yeah, so they I would definitely go sort of a selenite would go really well if you're trying to work with unicorn energy. You can get the spirals, you know, the selenite spirals. They sometimes call them unicorn horns. I don't like the term because like you've cut it off. So I just call them a spiral twist, but often people use that, I think, as a symbol as well. Let me think what else. So they most people see them white. They don't always come white. They can be varying colours, but predominantly you see them either white, like spirit white, or sort of like a palomino, you know, that sort of palomino colour, sort of like a creamy caramel colour. Typically, that's what they look like: long manes, long manes, long tail, um, and they always sort of just gentle, loving, and caring. The next one, this might be a very short session there. I'm going. The next one is I've picked dragons. Now, dragons are not something you work with willy nilly. You need to show them a lot of respect because that's just how they work. And they're temperamental, so you do need to be careful with them. Some of the things they are good for is power, good luck, fortune, prosperity, protection, empowerment, wisdom, intellect. And as a spirit guide, they can really help you tap into your power. So whether it's your healing power, your spiritual power, um, your psychic power, I'd probably more lay around your spiritual power because they're incredibly powerful to bring in and work with. But like I said, they're temperamental, so you have to work with them with respect. You sort of just go poke them and say, hey, help me. Sometimes it takes a while to build up a rapport with them as well. So that's where I'm sitting with dragons. The next one is Pegasus. This is one of my all-time favorites. I love Pegasus. Comes from mainly Roman mythology, but it's not a very commonly used animal. And the Pegasus focuses on strength and support, freedom, devotion, and faithfulness. Help you to take a leap of faith, limitless imagination, creativity, and helps you to pass between worlds, between the mortal and immortal. So it'd be like our world and the spirit world, because they had that flight and because they fly and they just go through that veil. The other thing would be as a spirit guide, um, they can also help with healing ability because they have their wings are feathers, and some people believe that they can help with healing abilities. I don't particularly work with Pegasus for healing. I more work it for that sort of that freedom and that leap of faith. I find that freedom, particularly from Pegasus. I actually have a statue over here, but it's a bit big and I don't have to pick it up. Yeah, like I have all statues for all of these, but we're not here with statues today. Okay, the next one is the Phoenix. I have a thing for firebirds. I love them. They are awesome. You need to be careful with the energies because it's fire, and fire you've got to work with carefully. So the Phoenix is obviously about rebirth. It's also about destruction, and it also gives sort of like hope and rising. So the rising Phoenix gives hope. So when they say they live around 500 years or so, and when they the ones that let me think, sorry, they live for around 500 years, give or take, and there could be more. I've read some stories where they live for 1,000 years. Anyway, so what happens is they basically self-immolate, they set themselves on fire, and then from those ashes is born a new phoenix. So it's really about that power of transformation, giving you, and it's also strength and regeneration. As a spirit animal guide, not very common. People more work with them. However, you'd probably look at using them in healing, for regeneration. Sorry, got me thinking. And also to give you strength and really to help transform or change things around you as well. Like I said, you've got to be careful working with them because they're fire, and I love a firebird. I think the firebirds are a really sort of underrated, underestimated group of beings, but they're very, very cool, and they're usually like orangey red and yellow, so those colors of fire. In Chinese culture, the dragon and the phoenix are actually the male, and the dragon's the male, the phoenix is a female, so it's like this complete pair for prosperity. I'm pretty sure it's prosperity. I have a dragon and a phoenix here, like I said, and have everything. And so yeah, so when you combine them as a pair, it makes everything a bit stronger. So you could have two pictures, like a dragon that you like and a phoenix, and you can put them somewhere to really help. It helps with feng shui, but don't ask me where. I've got to look into that because I can't remember exactly what it does. But when you have them together, it's a very, very powerful combination for prosperity. I think I have to double check. Okay, the last one is oops, the nine-tailed fox. I absolutely love the white nine-tailed fox. I watch anything I can get in Chinese, Korean culture on them, even Japanese. That's mainly where they talk about it. It fascinates me, and often they're female, and they turn from they actually come into a human form. So there's just something really I love about them, and they sort of grow into their tails. So they have like one, and they start growing. There are other foxes, and they might have one tail or two, three tails. But generally, you'll find them in groups of three, so like 3, 6, 9, as it's a feng shui thing. So they are about wisdom and magical prowess. They're really strong creatures. A little bit cunning, so you've got to be careful how you work with them and make sure that they are on board with you from the start. They're powerful. They're for good luck and good fortune. They help you to create opportunity and protection. And like I said, there's sort of Chinese, Korean, and Japanese culture mainly that I've seen them in. But like I said, I'm always watching something in them if I can get my hands on them because I absolutely love the shows. You just got to go along with everything else, but I just really love the foxes. So in Japanese, Kyubi no Kitsune is actually the nine-tailed fox, and they believe they see and hear everything in the world. So it's like they'd be something really good if you're looking for hearing. I'm thinking I'll look into it. In Japanese, they also offer infinite wisdom in Japanese. They're known as Tenko, which is a heavenly or celestial fox, and the nine-tailed fox is actually the most powerful form, which then ascends into the heavens.
So then they become this immortal being, which don't get me started. If you ever want to have some classes on immortal beings, let me check. I love anything that's remotely immortal. And the reason why I love these cultures so much is because when I was in primary school, I had a Chinese friend, and her parents owned a Chinese restaurant here. And I used to go to her house after school, and we'd watch Chinese deities and celestial gods floating around on clouds, and she'd translate them from Chinese into English for me. And I used to do it very regularly. And yeah, so that's where my love of them comes from. Apart from the fact there's lots of spiritual things that you can learn from those shows if you're happy to watch a few subtitles. Um, as a spirit guide, they can also help with wisdom, magic, and creating opportunity because foxes create opportunity for themselves. You can even use like what Google like just normal foxes, and you'll find something will fit around that. Okay, quicker than I thought when I'm by myself. Okay, so that is going to just